Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here at Solana, see what's going on this Sunday. It feels kind of weird to say because I don't typically work on Sundays, but I got a ridiculous amount of requests, and honestly, we're just kind of waiting for our baby to be born. So really, just kind of on call at this point here. She is officially due full term at this point as of the 29th. So heads up, if I ever disappear for a couple days, you know what happened. Anyways, we're going to take a look here. I'm going to update our fib levels. We're going to extend the fib levels essentially or reverse them so you can kind of see where we might be able to go next based on traditional retracement. We're going to look at some overextension and just kind of get a better understanding of what's going on here with these support and resistance levels. I'll explain a little bit more about what this means here on the charts. And we're going to identify some liquidation levels too. So if you're new, you've been watching for a while, thank you again so much for being an amazing part of my life. You are what motivates me to do this every day. So thanks again for that. And just hit the like button every video. That's really a great way to reward me there, so we can get more more views. In fact, my Solana videos have been getting a lot more views lately, and it's really nice. Obviously, it's based on it's pumping right now, but also the same effect. Just getting more support. So thanks again. Really appreciate you. All right, so let's take a look here on the left-hand side. Last 7 days liquidation. This doesn't tell us too much. It basically identifies that the local resistance at 266 is reaffirming itself as a new support. We'll see that on the charts, of course, but based on liquidation, we got late longs at 260, or essentially with liquidation events right there at 260. It doesn't mean that's when they got in. And then previous areas here, a lot of shorts getting liquidated. So it's just not recommended to short coins that are taking off like this. When we're in price discovery, it's usually a bad idea. Now, is it a good idea to take a long at the top or what feels like the top? Also not a great idea too. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I'm going to talk about statistics and odds of success at this rate here. Generally speaking, you're going to find a lot more success taking a long versus a short. I had a long alert set to take a long at 244. I think the price came down to 246 and hasn't looked back, right? You miss opportunities all the time, so don't feel stressed if you missed them. Let's take a quick look at the last 12 hours and kind of see if this tells us any more. Sometimes zooming in can help a lot to identify current resistance and support ranges. We can kind of see here, of course, 263 is that lower range there that's been retested a few times. A lot of longs there, and then inverse as well, we can see 275 to 280. So technically there's more longs to the downside than the upside in the last 12 hours, or more liquidation below than above, but the liquidation above us is closer. So generally speaking, that should and could get hit sooner, all right? So just something to kind of be mindful of. This is another thing too, to recognize that liquidation delta is fairly overextended, fairly high. If this stays like this for too long, we're going to start to see a pullback. But for right now, it's not too crazy, not too outrageous. It is tapering off, which is good. And in case you're not familiar with this is liquidation long delta. If it shows up in red, it would be short liquidation delta. Basically just telling us, where people are hedged the most. We got way more people taking longs than shorts, and roughly about 5 billion in long at this point here in longs, okay? We take a look at the open interest. This tells us where people are interested the most or buying the most Solana. And this tells us here 260 is that heavy price point. So a lot of folks were buying the top before it took off, and effectively it's come back down to try to retest that level. So that kind of reaffirms that being a support range for us. We'll be able to identify more specifics on the charts, but that's generally what we're looking for there. And then we zoom out, of course, 230, 220, those were previous areas of interest as well, okay? So now that we understand that, we kind of get the general idea that, hey, we might see a bit of a continuation higher here to retest that local high based on liquidation on smaller time frames. We can also recognize two support and resistances. So let's talk about this here. First of all, we got this previous high here. It goes way back to November of 21 rather, where we saw 260. Recently, we saw 260 get hit and rejected here, and now we're retesting and essentially breaking through that. Now, today's candlestick hasn't officially closed above that level, and in fact, yesterday's was pretty much right there at 260, 262. So you could summarize in short that we haven't officially closed above it, but we kind of have to, if you will. So hypothetically, we're looking for a closure of 262 or higher today, preferably higher because we don't want a doji candle here kind of giving us that indecision. And typically doji candles will reflect indecision in the markets, and you can sometimes see reversals. For example, we had a doji candle here, the price inevitably pulled back. Just kind of a standard, identifier. So when we close on the 265, 270 or higher, we're in price discovery, we're good to go. Price is likely going to continue higher or maintain above the local high or previous high, which again is consistent at this 260 mark. So we're really, really looking for a closure at 260 or higher. That's kind of what we're looking for. All right. Now, as far as moving average is concerned, we're above all four. Nothing to concern ourselves there. We're over 70 on the RSI. This implies you do not sell your position. You do not, definitely don't take a short. But more importantly, from a swing trader's perspective, when you get over 70 on the RSI, great things happen. The price is more likely to go higher than lower. A good example of that, we could even just say here, this is when the RSI went over 70. The price, just say you would close your position here. It came back down under 70, right in this range. Okay, so you would have lost out on that extra bit of profit if you'd closed too early. So generally it's, in my recommendation, or just sorry, in my world, my swing trading mind, right? Again, I day traded for a long time. I don't do that anymore. I have a day trading bot for that specifically in my Premium Plus group. That's just a strategy that I use that's fully automated. The swing trades that I send are all me, right? And whenever I send a swing trade, I try to look for these things here. So that's a signal to tell me do not short. And if I have a long position open while I missed it, my entry at 244, I would keep it open, right? So it's generally best practice to leave that open at this point. There's no reason to close that. Significant amount of buying pressure in the last 24 or 48 hours. A lot of that has to do with this coin here, Trump coin. So just keep that in mind. I'm planning to cover that here shortly as well because I get a ton of requests for that. But the truth here is that, you know, that Solana network is kind of on fire right now with a lot of volume flowing in, okay? So that's reflected too as well. And you just don't short into this kind of volume. That's just the bottom line. Okay, now again, if you're like a ridiculous person and you like to, you know, you like to swim upstream, you like to make things difficult on yourself, then that's a different story altogether, right? By all means, go ahead and, you know, do you. But if you know, you're that kind of person that posts your social media, you know, your social media presence is specifically just based on you taking high risk trades, I don't know why these people trust you, and I don't know why you are that kind of person that you are. Anyways, it's a conversation for another day. I have some hangups, and the main hangup that I have is these other crypto maniacs that take high risk trades and brag about it. It's just so dumb. Anyways, conversation for another day. Let's take a look here. We can see we're above RSI, the 20. That's really just an initial trend setter. So literally until we cross back below the 20-day SMA or 70 in the RSI, which we're kind of sort of doing here, we're getting close, you really don't want to consider securing profits. Now, again, depending on how long you plan to hold, will determine this, right? The 4-hour time frame is good for maybe a week or two. As far as, you know, confirmation there. So with this RSI getting closer to 70, it kind of implies we should be going sideways or not getting too crazy upwards, right? Again, the macro, the daily time frame tells us different, but the 4-hour is essentially 6 4-hour time frames is a daily time frame, right? So it's a smaller time frame. Things are going to move a little faster. To me, paying attention to the 20-day SMA here, being above that, will pretty much just imply that the price is going to go higher or stay at this range or higher, right? So we have a lot of support below us, and just to touch on this too, we can see 260, previous all-time high, right? In fact, I can even put all-time high in here just to give us some perspective so we know more specifically what we're looking at. Once more, I always post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. That's available here. If you're not familiar, it looks a little something like this. Feel free to check that out in your own time. Anyways, the whole point of me mentioning this is that the local all-time high, hypothetically, the price action should do something like this, where it might range bound for a bullish flag, sorry, not a bull flag, but a bullish rectangle type of pattern, right, where the price action works itself into a channel. It's really common in price discovery to do that. Obviously, the second scenario is for it to break back down into sweeps in this extra liquidation and then come back up. But the likelihood of that happening is pretty low for it to drop too far. We're probably more likely to stay at 260 or higher, but if we drop any lower, again, 244, that's the area I was interested in getting into. We technically haven't retested that level except for just like a quick little 1-hour candle wick down. So in essence, if we do lose this range here, hypothetically 244 is a pretty solid consideration for a second entry target. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be having my sights set on that range there. Anyways, take a look at the hourly time frame. There's nothing here that's going to reflect that you should close your position. You got to keep in mind that everything is truly bullish here, and being above the cloud, awesome. Conversion line over the baseline, lag and span the frame clear. I mean, basically for the next 10 to 12 hours, we should be in good shape not to have to worry about closing at all. Hypothetically, the price continues to go sideways. It may go sideways and down if we don't go up here soon. But again, you got to recognize too, tomorrow is a very significant fundamental catalyst coming through with the inauguration. Hypothetically and likely the reason for this to be happening based on this coin here taking off, right? So again, a lot of reasons why there should be no consideration in your mind to short. You're much better off waiting for a long that never happens, right? Instead of taking a higher risk trade on a very strong coin like this. Okay, it makes no sense to do that. So again, if that's who you are, no discredit. Again, I I don't I have a lot of beginner traders or newer traders, even obviously intermediate and advanced traders too. But for the most part, my community has people that are a little newer, if you will. And if you have less experience, you shouldn't be taking high risk trades. I mean, I've got 20 plus years of experience, and I only ever 5x leverage altcoins and 10x leverage Bitcoin to give you perspective, right? I don't go crazy with it. And these are position sizes that are 5% or less of my total portfolio. And that's how you should be responsibly trading. Again, if you're going to use a 1000x leverage or something like that, you should expect to lose it. Use a couple of dollars, right? But don't be that person that just that shows how that you think you're awesome because you're posting a high risk trade online and getting a bunch of likes for it. It's pretty pathetic. So, anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I deeply appreciate you watching. Make sure you check out Bitunix too here, folks. Awesome exchange. Link down below for these guys. They have trading competitions and bonuses every month. Use my link to register. You're eligible. No KYC or VPN required, though. These guys are really good to our community. Thank you again. Last but not least, if you are part of my community, please make sure you read through my trade alerts. These I give you heads up on coins I'm planning to trade and updates on trades that are active. Same thing with signals guide too. You need to know kind of how to structure your trades more effectively if you're going to follow my signals. And obviously with our premium group too, you should know by now, but we have our results in there too. Got pretty good profits on Bitcoin, Doge, and SEI as well. Cool. All right, been a slower week, but tell you what, there's great things coming here soon. Have yourself a good rest of the day. We'll see you again soon. Take care.